Okay, you can check your homework now. If you have it out, get that out and look at your assignment. Again, you should submit it. Okay, if you haven't done so, do that. And if you want to look at some of the problems, there they are. We're gonna go on to the next section today, which is 1-2. And it's some properties. Now, you can take 10 pages of notes today, but I suggest only taking about 1. These properties are things that you know already, okay? So take it easy on your writing today, and maybe I'll give you a few points of emphasis, because I think you'll feel pretty comfortable about this stuff once you see what we're talking about, okay? If you want to follow along on Canvas, you can. So if you want to pull that up and move with me, you most certainly are welcome to.
Instead of taking notes?
And instead of what?
Instead of taking notes, you can just
You can
follow
that's fine with me, whatever you think you need to pass the class. So as we look at some of these homework problems, we had to order, which I think most of you probably did. If we did struggle with anything, it would be down here with these set builder notation and interval notation. Hopefully we didn't. We spent 2 days on it, so we should feel somewhat comfortable about those two things. The main ones we're going to use in math are interval notation and set builder. Once in a while we might use some words in lists, but not that often. How we doing? Everybody okay?
Go to Canvas,
from there.
and then go to assignments, and then 1.2.
So today 1.2. Question. I'm sorry, which one?
21, the final one.
21. 35? Yeah, 35. 35 is just saying, X cannot be 5, can it? So if we had a number line for 35, we'd have 5 as it's open, and then we'd have everything going this way, and everything, of course, 0 might be here, okay? 10 up here. Does that kind of make sense? Help you a little bit? Think about the number line? I think number line, the visual of the number line can really help us, okay? So if you get stuck, put it on a number line. I think it's everything but 5. Yeah.
Why is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's stopping at 10, my bad.
Yeah.
So we do want to fix that. I thought it was infinity there, but it's not. So it is stopping there. And 10 is an open spot too. Thank you. I did mess that up. So I would just look at it at a glance, thought it was infinity going that way too, but there you go. All right. Those I didn't make you do. So here's what we're going to be learning today. You're going to have to learn some properties. Identify and use properties of real numbers. Folks, I'm talking associative, commutative, distributive, right? This is 7th grade stuff, all right? I'm talking identity, additive identity, multiplicative identity. I'm talking simple stuff today, hopefully. Again, take the notes, the amount of notes you want. And I will tell you what I would write if I was out in your seat. So I do like getting that section down and what we're going to study and identify properties. Again, follow along on Canvas, those of you interested. Okay. All right, note takers ready to move forward? All right. Warm up, no one really wants to do that, so we're not going to do that today. It is Friday, and we want to have some time to possibly get this assignment done. Do you guys all agree with that?
Yes.
I'm going to like this class a lot, I can tell. All right, first thing is additive identity, okay? Now, I want you to write one word when you see identity, same number. Okay, and that's the key to identity. Identity means get the same number. Well, what the heck do we add to something to get the same number? 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. I get the same number back. So if you want to jot something down, it might help you. Identity means get the same number. How do I get the same number? What do I add to get the same number? 0. I'm sure your mom and dad would love to add the additive identity to your allowance. Hey, Dad, I need some money tonight. Well, I'm gonna add the additive identity to your allowance tonight, buddy. Go ahead, have some fun. So this is the additive one. Of course, we're gonna have a multiplicative one. I don't wanna go too fast, but additive, we gotta get 0, okay? We're gonna add 0. We're trying to get the same thing back. What's your identity? My identity is Mr. Grubb, the math teacher at Lake High School. I know that's who I am. That's how I've been for the last 20 some years. Golf coach. That guy's a golf coach. Isn't that guy a golf coach? I've heard that all the time. Yep, that guy's a golf coach. Anybody see the newspaper yesterday, wasn't it? Me here morning, right, in the newspaper yesterday. All right, so additive, get it back. Get identity, get the same. So what do you think the multiplicative identity? What do we multiply something by to get the same thing back?
The reciprocal.
No,
Oh.
1.
Darn it.
Remember, we're getting the same, okay? So we have 5 times 1 equals 5. So the multiplicative identity is uno. What's identity mean? Get the same number back. What do I add to get the same number back? 0. What do I multiply to get the same number back? 1. I think I see Noah over there. No, it's building a boat over in the junior parking lot. All right, how do we feel about that? Identity, get the same number back? Everybody okay? I see a lot of you taking some notes. I'm gonna slow down just a smidge. Caught up. So the golf team will be at Congress Lake on Monday. About this time of the day, we'll be teeing off. We played a practice round last night. We played a few holes, but then of course the storm came in. We got to skip a couple. We skipped 13, 14, 15. We jumped over. If anybody's ever been out there, it's a beautiful place. So we're done with the identity. It's time for the inverse. So let's look at inverse now. Inverse. What do I add? Okay, now inverse is a little different. The additive inverse, I want it to equal 0. So what am I going to add to get 0? I'm going to add the opposite. I'm always going to add the opposite. So when you think inverse, additive inverse, I'm trying to get to 0. So how do I get something to be 0? Add the opposite. Add the opposite. Connor, you think we can practice tonight? Probably not. Miss you out there, big boy. Wish you could have, but I understand.
Big boy.
Still love you. All right. Now, additive, opposite. Now the difference is the inverse for multiplication is a little different. We're going to try to get 1. So the inverse of multiplication is 1. We're going to try to get to 1. So what are we going to multiply by to get to be 1? Someone said it earlier.
Reciprocal?
Here's where we're using the
Oh,
reciprocal.
yes.
Okay?
I was reading it.
So the multiplicative inverse, we want to get it to be 1, so that's where we're going to do this reciprocal. 8, okay, so you could have, now, you could have a fraction. 1/4, what would we multiplicative inverse here would be? 4, and that equals 1. That good old thing called a reciprocal. Again, write down what you feel can help you. Don't try to write all this down to please me. So there's your inverse. Inverse a little different than the previous one. So multiplicative inverse, reciprocal. Additive inverse is the opposite. Let's try a couple, you ready? Alright. No, we don't need that, you already know that, I just told you. Think about it for a second. Additive and multiplicative inverse. Okay, this is the inverse. What's the additive to 12 would be? That's very good. What would be the multiplicative inverse? 112. Now, be careful, if this 12 was negative, of course, this inverse, or this reciprocal would have to be negative also. Because we want to get positive 1, okay? So there's 2 more examples for you to maybe think about. Everybody okay? Let's try another. What are we gonna add? Think about it. It's negative 9/4, so we're gonna add positive 9/4, okay? What are we gonna multiply by? Negative 4 times. They got turf over there, don't they? I think it's about everybody has turf now, but. All right, how we doing? Everybody good? Yeah, question? Take a second. Yep. All right. What do you think? Inverse here would be what, 500? What am I gonna multiply by?
Negative 500.
Negative 500, what am I gonna multiply by? You like that, you giggle when I said it. Huh? There we go, 1/500, I'm gonna move on now, my friends. Decimals can be a little bit tricky though. You might wanna write this as a fraction. What would this be as a fraction? 0.01 as a fraction would be 1/100th, of course it is a negative number. There we go. And we can handle that, I think. All right, let's move on. And that is to our first property, and that is a closure property. Now, some of these properties are kind of boring at the best. Closure property just means if I have 2 real numbers and I add them together, I'm gonna get another real number. It might be one of the more ridiculous properties that we teach in math, but there are quite a few of those things in math. So basically says we add 2 numbers or multiply 2 numbers, we're gonna get a real number back, because there are imaginary numbers. I don't know what I'd write down here other than to say that, you know, maybe this might help you right here. A plus B equals a real element of a real. That backwards E means the element of.
Backwards E. How's that
Kind
backwards?
of a funky, I guess it's not backwards, but anyway, backwards E would be like that, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I got you.
We'll take those out just in case I'm. That just means you're paying attention. I'm excited about that.
Always. Best student in the class, sit in front row.
Oh.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, but he's right in front of the smartboard.
Yeah.
Angled more towards me.
All right, folks, communicative, come on. Only word I'd write down here is what? Order. Commutative and order. Order doesn't matter. 7 plus 11, 11 plus 7. So commutative is order. You want to write down a little sample there. My friend, this is like 7th and 8th grade math right here.
Or this is fourth grade.
And again, jot down what you want, don't go overboard, get enough down that you, what you need.
They scroll down and tell me I get it pretty.
Order, communicative is order.
It's pretty.
What's my next property? Anybody remember from back in Algebra 1? Commutative, associative is correct. What's associative? Anybody know, remember? Associative is group. Or how you put brackets around something. Associative is grouping.
Kiss my hand.
Pretty proud we made it through the first week. How about you
How do
guys?
we play this one?
Yeah. Let's hope people don't panic if one person has a small temperature.
It's good. Send it to me.
I see our wonderful NBA players, their convictions lasted about 20 hours.
And they made their point.
Sorry, I don't mean to be political here or anything, but come on, if you're gonna stand up for something, stand up for it, right? How about donate 1 month's salary to education of the cause? You think you'd ever do that?
They'd rather just not play. And so we paid.
I think LeBron's a great guy, he did a lot with his schools and everything he does, I don't want to belittle some of their efforts, but yeah. They just kind of made fools of themselves, in my opinion, without, you know. There we
My
go.
opinion as well.
There you go.
We shared opinion.
All right, here we go. We got another one, and that's everybody's favorite, distributed property, of course. And that one's pretty straight up. You use this one over and over in your math career. Of course, we can bracket distribute. This one that everybody knows, and if they ask this question on Jeopardy, we would all get it correct. Distributed property. And again, I keep saying it, write what you think you need. Don't overwrite. It's not worth it.
Let's go to Larry.
Gonna put a couple of these in play just to practice, see if you see what's going on. We're gonna do a little mental math thing, and then we're about done, okay? And then we can have some time to maybe knock out a couple drops there.
If you insist.
I do insist.
Okay. Yes.
About pull up. All right, what property? What did I change? I changed the order. What's order? All right. What'd we change?
Grouped. Associative.
Grouping, that is. How do you feel about those apples? Everybody okay? Let you see that for a second. Those of you who want, you can go back on Canvas, of course. Is everybody okay? Ready to move on?
Yeah.
Let's try another one. What do we got going on here?
Oh. Order.
We changed the order, didn't we? And we also did some brackets, so. How about this one here?
Groups.
It is grouping, which is
Associative.
associative. All right, our last thing is mental math. Never fails. We're going in the shopping mall, Mrs. Grubb and I, and she's, there's a sale. I'm like, oh, great. You know,
Oh, great.
and she says, I'll get 20% off, and then she'll pick out something that she really likes, and of course, she puts it on, and what's the only choice I have to say?
You do not look fat.
Hey, you look. Okay. The other option is, no, that sucks on you. So,
Imagine you actually doing your way.
yeah, look back. So anyways,
Oh, yeah. I did not.
no,
You could-
bless her soul. So I had to, figure out what 20% is for, but it's not that hard, is it? So the key number here is 10%, isn't it? 10% with money is so easy. All we gotta do is move that
That's
Decimal over. $4 and 24 cents. Of course, I hope as you go out to restaurants, that you take care of people who wait on you. Mr. McBride and I went to Grinders today, and we have a waitress that takes care of us every Friday. We ain't seen her for summer. So today, my bill was $10, and I gave her a $10 tip too. Because when we walked into Grinders, guess what? We were the only people in there. There was nobody in there. That's at 11:30, so I don't think some of those people are doing as well as they have been in the past. Anybody doing a job like that, do they get tips? Yeah, it's not, hadn't been the best, has it probably?
Actually, we've been pretty good.
Where at?
New Baltimore,
Oh,
since
yeah.
we opened up, and everyone's like,
Oh my
"Man,
God,
I
ice cream.
really wanna get ice cream, so I
Ice
get
cream
ice
is
cream,
killing
it's like $5.
Ice cream is killing. Okay, there's this place you guys might know. It's called Heaven something, Heavenly something up there.
almost heaven.
Almost heaven. Oh my God.
It was literally almost heaven.
It always goes down the road.
Oh God, it's almost heaven. No, there's 10 cars waiting, and they go out on the road and go up towards the highway. You can't get in there on any night after 6. And I tried it, that's not good.
I live right there. I prefer.
All right, what do we find? At 5%, of course, we'll cut that in half, you know, $2 and 12 cents. Make sense? Makes sense. Yeah. Question? Oh, okay. Here we go. 20% off. What am I gonna tell Mrs. Grove, how much it's gonna cost her? Take a second. I'm not gonna try to figure 20, what am I gonna figure first? 10. So let's figure 10%. All I gotta do is move it over and it'd be a $1.56. Of course, we know double that, and it's gonna be $3 and 12 cents.
That's pretty good, wait.
Wow.
12 cents off, right?
$3 and 12 cents off.
Never mind.
Then you just subtract.
1560 minus.
You were thinking $3 and 12 cents.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty good.
No, $3 and 12 cents off.
I forgot how to do math.
So the other way would be 80% off. If it was 80% off, it'd be $3.
Okay.
All right, my friends, how we doing? Everybody good? Feel okay about that? I hope so. All right. We're not gonna worry about these statements, if thens, we're gonna skip those this year because of COVID. I was just teasing you on that. And here we go. We're going to skip 57 also. So you got a couple little problems. Listen, you can knock this out, submit it before you leave this room. And if you haven't submitted yesterday, do that, because I put some zeros in for some of you, you don't deserve that. No, there's nothing to do with the ACT problem. That's just a little bite of the elephant. Yeah, the elephant, a little bite of the elephant.
Yeah, I'll smack through this real quick.
Do you have a physical textbook that we can have to take home?